Hey, Zay Zay, what's up? Goodness gracious. Oh, all right, so before we get a whole bunch of people on here, if you guys missed this live chat or this live video, be sure to hit the subscribe button, the little bell, turn your notifications on your phone so you don't miss my next one. So, anyway, so now that we got a whole bunch of people on, let's talk a little bit about fishing. Let me find out what's going on with my focus. Man, that's bad. There we go. Clean that up a little bit. Got my lights are a little too bright. Fix that. Good. Hey man. Hey Chase, what's going on, man? Jose. Old Bass Busters, what's going on? Hey. Justin Roll Tide. Go Dogs, man. I can't wait for that game. I'm dying. I want it to go so I want the Bulldogs to win so bad. Just walked in the door a few minutes ago. We went and ate hibachi with my family. This is one of my son's birthdays, so we went and ate there. So I'm rushing like crazy to get home so I could get this done and get it started. But let me shut the. There we go. A little less light. That's good. John, thanks, man. Thanks for the $5, bro. I appreciate it. It really does help, especially this time of the year. Somebody said, "What's my favorite spawn bait?" Oh gosh, I fish a dozen different baits on my boat during the spawn. I guess we could say my favorite one is anything that resembles a crawfish or a turtle or a bluegill. Um, Gavin, man, I'm glad I was able to get you into fishing. Man, it's a lot of fun, isn't it? Hey, Stephen Bennett, how you doing? Grant, good to have you on here, bro. Uh, you know what? I don't know about the FLW co-angler. Like I said, I've been out eating. I don't know. I don't have any updates since this morning. I wish I did, but I didn't even think about it. So Bass Raider, thanks, man. Appreciate it. $2. What's my favorite winter bait? My favorite winter bait is a Super Fluke Junior. Is my favorite winter bait, and I love it on like a an underspin or any kind of a little lead head, little jig head. Just hopped and fished around the bottom. I've done it really good with a bunch of other things. We'll talk about those here in just a minute. So, Donald, you're welcome, man. What's the donations for? Oh, there's a where is it, Rick? There's a little thing called Super Chat, and it gives people the opportunity to donate money to me for some reason. I don't ask for it. Just one of those things that happen. But yeah, it really is appreciated because it helps me to be able to continue to do this. So it's a lot of cool. It's real cool to see people give a couple, $2-3. It's pretty neat. Okay, love my vids. Thanks, Bass Baits. There was a bunch that flew by. I want to see if I missed anything. Chuck Khalil says Sievert. I'm assuming he said meant Siebert. Siebert Jigs rule, which I totally believe that. I've been using his jigs since before he was Siebert Jigs, and make some of the best jigs at the absolute best price. And that's why he makes my jigs. So, well, I'll be coming to the Tennessee River System, Gunnersville, Chickamauga in the future. Yes, I only live an hour and 20 minutes from both of them. They're the closest nice lakes that I live to, and I'll be going there as soon every chance I can. I got a trip down to Florida in a couple of weeks. I'm gonna stay close to home while it's real cold. Right now, I've been spending this week getting firewood for my mom. She ran out of firewood, and that's how she warms her house. So, would I go in a kayak tomorrow? No, it's going to be 12 degrees in the morning. My favorite underspin is a fish head spin. That's about the only one I use. Let's see. Russell Sands. You think the Bass Tracker 40th anniversary is ugly? No, it looks like the old ones I used to rebuild. I used to build electric boats for all these electric lakes that are in the Atlanta area. And I'd find those old 80s tracker boats that were in the back of people's yards with trees growing out of them and gut them out and rebuild them because they always had, back then, they had the thickest aluminum. They don't anymore. But back then, they were really thick aluminum, real easy to work with. So, Jake Hirschman asked, do you have a favorite all-purpose size jig that you recommend? 3/8 ounce. Also, Chatterbait's favorite model and color is the Z-Man Project Z Chatterbait. It's about the only one I use, and I'll use anywhere from 3/8 to half ounce. I don't usually use anything heavier. Shay Henderson, what's up, bro? Um, let's see. Have I fished at Cherokee Lake in Morristown, Tennessee? No, I haven't. I haven't had the opportunity to do that yet. Um, let's see. Boy, that was a confusing question. Sorry, guys. I kind of spaced off there. Tennessee Bassin, what's up, man? What color crank do you use at what depth? Boy, that's a broad question. I can't answer that because I use whatever color the bass tell me they want, and I fish whatever depth that they're holding at. So it's kind of a hard one. Lowrance or Humminbird? Dude, I don't know. I looked at Lowrance today. Their new ones are phenomenal looking. So I may have to renege on some things I said last year about that bad about Lowrance because I'm liking what I'm seeing. But I'm gonna have to go play with them. It's one of those things. I'm just gonna have to test those out before I do anything. Go Dogs. Let's see. When will I be back to Dayton? Joe, I will be. I don't know. It'll be spring. It'll definitely be spring. I just got a lot of stuff planned with kayak fishing down in Florida because it's too cold up here. So I'm gonna take a long trip down to Florida here in a couple of weeks. Do I use rattles on my jigs in the winter? Yes, I do. I use rattle on my jigs almost all the time. They don't hurt. They can only help, and so that's why I love to have jigs or love to have rattles on my jigs. Um, go. Let's see, ice fish Millox. That would be fun. Give me a shout out, and I'm a longtime fan. Pop Tart. David Bradshaw. That's pretty funny. Do you have any tips for becoming a fishing guide? Ooh, be really good with people is the biggest thing, and then learn the lake. Learn it really, really, really good. Fish it all the time, and then get your captain's license and see what you can do. I mean, it's everything. Everything in life is a risk if you want to be successful. So my home lake is Hartwell, and the fish are 30 to 60 feet of water. Any suggestions on what to use? Yes. I'm going to go over that. Some of my favorite wintertime baits, and because I was late getting back from dinner, I didn't get to go grab them, but I love a blade bait, what they used to call a gay blade. It's a flat piece of metal with lead molded into it. Got 3 little connection points. That's one of my favorite ones, and like I already said, my very favorite ones is Super Fluke Junior on a fish head spin, fished that deep. You cast it out, give it line, let it get down to that depth, and then slowly reel it or just hop it. Slowly reel it and just kind of pop your rod a little bit. And that's about all I usually throw it. A jerk bait, slow roll a spinner bait that's really, really heavy, but that usually doesn't work. But when they're that deep, that's usually what I throw. If they're on the bottom, I'm going to throw and drag a jig. If they're up off the bottom, I'm going to throw something that looks like a shad. That's usually what I do. That's usually the advantage of having a fish finder. What's my favorite redfish lure? Whatever one the redfish want that day. I don't have a whole lot of variety. Robert Grasso, when Georgia won, the first thing I thought of was you. I'm rooting for them. That's awesome. Oh goodness, I couldn't move for like an hour after that game. I was so mentally wasted. Let's see. Why does Dorian? Why does Jake not have his phone? I need to text him about the tournament. Go ahead and text him, Dorian. I gave him his phone back about an hour and a half ago. That's why he's not down here. Minnesota Fishing asks Flukemaster, this is important. Please read. Can you collab with Tim Galati? He's going through some health problems, and I'm sure it would make his year if you asked to collab. He has 35,000 subs. We will see. I've got a lot planned in the next few months. Unfortunately, I got a family I've got to stay close to sometimes, or I got to come home and visit sometimes. But definitely, it all depends on where he's at. If I'm in the area, I'll collab with him. But I gotta come back home to the family every once in a while. How does Chick compare to Gunnersville? Yeah, they each have their pluses and minuses. It just depends on the year. I like Chick because it has a lot of really. I don't know. It's just easier for me to find fish. I guess it's because it's smaller. Gunnersville can trip me out pretty bad. Um, but if Gunnersville usually takes me a couple 2 or 3 days longer to. Adrian, please stop asking for a shout out, dude. That's not cool. Um, but usually takes a little bit longer for me to find them on Gunnersville. What's up, Tackle Junkie? Gosh almighty. That's another good YouTuber right there, Tackle Junkie 81. Caleb asked predictions for Monday, talking about the national championship game. My prediction is it's going to be a close one. No team's going to score over 32 points. And I'm going to have to say Georgia's going to go 28-21. But it's going to be close. So, JMD Texan, I just learned to fish. Learn to fish. Your videos have helped. Cool, man. I'm glad I could. Glad I can help. All the way from Virginia Beach. Go Dogs. That's awesome. Have you ever fished them through the ice? I have. Not for bass, I haven't, but for other fish, I've fished. I went ice fishing a couple of years ago with 13 Fishing. Let's see. Have you ever fished Douglas Lake? Nope, I haven't. Castleberry Films, my editor asks, how's the response on the Concept Z review? Pretty good. Pretty good. We got a lot of really good responses. I got a couple of tackle shops, little mom and pop shops that called me and it texted me and asked me about the Z and thanked me for doing the video because it really helped them to explain what it's like and how it is for people. Let's see. Jake Davis, what about a Carolina rig? Yes, I would use it in the wintertime. I just put something like a shad bait on it. I have Carolina rigged to fluke a lot in the wintertime. So, do you fish the double fluke rig near the bottom this time of the year? No, I don't. I usually don't fish the double fluke rig any deeper than about 2 feet. Usually for schooling fish while they're schooling on bluebacks. Do I know if the tournament is Saturday or Sunday? I don't know. I think it's a Saturday. I haven't even committed to be able to be a boater on that one. It all depends on what what's going on. But it looks like I'll be able to be a boater for that one. Let's see. Is Tyler on here too? What's up, Tyler? Yeah, there he is. Us Aggies are coming for you Bulldogs. Now, Tyler, I got a bone to pick with you. You were saying Boomer Sooner last week, and you go to Texas A&M. Anyway, we'll talk about that later. I wanted to say so many bad words to you that day, it wasn't even funny. Let's see. I'm going to get caught up. Do I use braid to leader for all applications? Midi asks. That's a good question. No. I use fluorocarbon 100% on my crankbait rods because I feel like I can get down as deep as I possibly can with a crankbait with all fluorocarbon. I use, if I'm flipping really clear water and not a whole lot of vegetation, I'm going to go straight braid or straight fluorocarbon, 20-pound test, mainly because I have such a freaking hammer down hook set. I don't want to break off anywhere. I don't want to have any weak spots. So, hold on a minute.
Sorry.
Go around that side and plug it in. Actually, there's not even a plug. He's trying to plug his phone in now that I gave it back to him.
No plugs.
So, anyway.
There's no plug in here.
Let's see.
No, I've got the double one.
Hold on a minute. Can you go upstairs, please? Thank you. Yes, this is what happens when you have kids. They don't respect that you've got stuff you've got to get done. All they care about is me.
Me.
Scott, yeah, dad life, that's right. Let's see, Catching with Craig says, I'm the best, you are the best informational fisher tuber. Oh, that's funny. I know, because of the stuff you taught me, I caught my PB 8 pounds. Sweet. That's awesome, man. Uh, Grant says electronics punishment is popular in our home too. Yeah, he was without his for about 2 months, so he's got a lot of catching up to do. Any tips for fishing pressurized city or pressured? I'm assuming city lakes, ponds in the winter. Same thing as I do in the summertime is downsize. Go to really light line and fish really really slow. So slow that if you think you're going too slow, you need to slow down. That's why it's really slow. Yes, chop wood, baby. Best color trailer for a brown and purple football jig. I usually go. I use green pumpkin. Probably 90% of the time. I mean, if I'm fishing a brown jig, I've got a green pumpkin trailer, so that's what I would do. I haven't fished Toledo Bend at all ever. It's one of the lakes that are on my list for this year. So Troy asked who won the giveaway. I'm not doing the giveaway until next Friday. That's what I said on the video. Is it's not this Friday, but next Friday. It gives people plenty of time to enter that giveaway. Oh, and since this is on my big channel, um, make sure you go over to my other channel, my Flukemaster review channel. Check out the video on the Concept Z and check out the giveaway. I'm giving away a Concept Z. So go watch that video. So Minnesota Fishing says collab with Uncut Angling. Yes, Aaron Weeb and I are good friends. So is Jay. So definitely we're gonna do that. Boy, he's kicking butt right now. It's great to see. I used to fuss at him a lot because he wanted everything to be perfect before he put it on a video. I was like, no, it doesn't have to be. When can I purchase my gear? This Justin Elwell asked, when can I purchase your gear? Looking for some decals. Um, if I had to put a date on it, it'd probably be 2 months. I'm gonna try to get it done in less than that, but there's a lot of little details that I got to go into it. I've got to get a website put together. I'm probably going to piggyback with somebody so I don't have to worry about maintaining it and that kind of stuff. So that's the details I've got to work out. Raymond Brown, do you know any of the fishermen that was in the boating accident in Florida? No, I don't. That is an unfortunate thing. I wish I had more details about it. I don't know what happened. I don't know how it happened. I don't know whether they had life jackets on or not. I don't know. But all I got to say is, guys, when you're out on the water, if that boat's moving, you need to be wearing a life jacket. That's huge. It's a dangerous sport that we do. I mean, water can kill you pretty quick, and cold water can kill you even quicker. They were down in Okeechobee, so the water wasn't too cold, but you stay exposed to it a long period of time, even 65-degree water can kill you. So I hope they find him. That's a big place, though. It's so hard to find your way in and out of it. So what's your favorite shaky head worm and color? Is going to be a Biospawn plasma tail, 6.5 inch, and green pumpkin with a tail dip in JJ's Magic Chartreuse. That's what I shaky head most of the time. That's the first one I go to. Grant. I don't even want to picture you wearing a half T fishing shirt of the month. Let's see. Where should you start fishing when it's cold like this? You talking about right now? Like this point, Drop Creek, main lake. Joe, I would start in the mouth of a creek, find the steepest bank, and fish along the front and the back side of that steep bank, wherever it starts to get change from being really steep to not so steep, is where I would be fishing. That's the first place I'd start, and then I'd go out and fish points all the way down. So, do I ever crappie fish, and what do you use? I don't crappie fish much, and when I go do it, I use live bait. I use crappie minnows all the time. Felipe asks, how many rods would you take for a day on the pond fishing from the bank? I usually, when I fished from the bank, now I fished from the bank for about 12 years. I took 3 rods, 1 spinning rod, 1 medium, and 1 medium heavy bait casters. And so those were the 3 I did, and I just tied a lot of knots when I wanted to change a lot of lures, and had a tackle bag that weighed about 100 pounds. What's my thoughts on the Rage-Tail Space Monkey? It's a great creature bait. I mean, it works just like any other creature bait. It's just got a lot more kick to it on all the little arms and legs. Man, that's sad. Sorry, I was reading that one comment about the guy in Atlanta that disappeared. That's sad. What color blade bait for muddy water? Gold or colored one. I with blade baits, I think of three different colors: silver, gold, and just whatever color, white, anything that doesn't have any flash. I use silver almost 90% of the time. Then when I got a lot of stain on the water, I'll use a gold or a colored one. But I very rarely will fish it in muddy water. If it's cold and muddy, I go home. Have not tried X Zone plastics. Never even heard of them. What 5 actions of rods do I recommend? 5 actions? Um, I mean, we can run the gamut. I mean, it's with 5. It's a medium light action spinning rod for drop shots and shaky heads. A medium fast action bait caster for square bill crankbaits, spinner baits, lipless crankbaits, buzz baits, a lot of different moving baits. Medium heavy fast action for jigs and Texas rigs. Um, and say medium heavy fast action jigs, Texas rigs, any kind of Carolina rig I'm dragging and stuff like that. And then a heavy for flipping heavy jigs and punching. So that's 4. 5, it just 2 of one of the, a second one of one of the other ones, probably a medium would be my 5th one. So if I had to fish one lure the rest of my life, what would it be? A plastic worm. Straight tail worm, like a plasma tail or a trick worm or something like that. That's what I'd fish the rest of my life. How long time sponsored by Crocs? Oh, I'm not even looking for sponsors right now. Are swim baits good during the winter? Yeah, actually they are. If you get some that get down deep, a lot of people put a big bullet weight in front of their swim baits and swim it deep. Just bass still got to eat. They just don't eat as much, and you just swim it through the school until you get bit. Let's see. Is a square bill crankbait a good lure to fish this time of the year? No, because typically the bass aren't that shallow unless you're fishing a lake that doesn't get really, really deep. Down in Florida it would be, but not up here, not when it's really cold. Longest rod on my kayak is, I usually don't like to go over 7'3". Let's see. Have I ever fished Lake Hartwell? Yes, once. I didn't like it. Do I carry a gun on the lake? Sometimes. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I was almost robbed on a lake once. I had my little 14-foot John boat. I was fishing Clark's Hill, fishing a deeper roadbed, and two teenagers came around, or they weren't teenagers, they were probably 20. They came around the point in a bigger boat. They pulled up beside me. We started talking, a little small talk here and there. And then I heard one say to the other, does he have anything? And they kept getting closer to my boat. And I heard him say, does he have anything? And I just picked my gun up and laid it on my tackle box. And I said, I sure do. And they got away. They left. So that's the only time I really have needed it. And luckily I had it. So let's see. Gene, have I ever gotten beat up? No, I have not. I grew up in a neighborhood of 9 boys. We used to fight all the time, and we were all good at it. Don't fish the chick right now. Me and Dad put in at Dayton Boat Dock, and it was 2 feet deep all the way out to the channel. Wow. So it's real shallow. That means they're out deep off those points and off the drops in the mouths of the creeks. You just got to find them. They tend to move around a lot when the water does crazy things like that. If I don't get to everybody's question, I'm sorry. I read slow. I'm dyslexic, and it makes it a little bit difficult for me, but I try as hard as I can to get as many questions as I can, and this thing scrolls really fast. Have I ever fished Lake Jordan in North Carolina? No, Richard, I sure haven't, man. I've only fished, the only lake I've fished in North Carolina is that private lake I used to guide on, Richmond Mill. Have I ever fished Santee Cooper? Yes, that's where I broke my my Triton boat. that old Triton and aluminum that I used to have. That's where it cracked a hole, but I didn't hit anything. It's just that it had a crack in it, and it just split wide open, and I almost sunk it. Um, Favorite trickworm color is going to be green pumpkin candy. Is my favorite one, or green pumpkin gold. I kind of go back and forth between the two. Have I ever got shot at on the lake while fishing? No, I have not. Uh, would I ever? Would I rather fish with Nick Saban or my mother-in-law? My mother-in-law. Uh, can you go to Potholes Reservoir in Granite County, Washington? That's one of the lakes I've really wanted to fish. That thing looks like a whole lot of fun. A lot of shallow backwater way back in the back of that thing. So that's one of those things that if I'm ever up in the area, I'm putting my boat in the lake and going. Uh, oh, cool. Andy Glockman's going to coming to Bienville in a couple of weeks. So that's where I'm going. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Have I ever fished any Central Georgia lakes? If so, which ones? No, I haven't. I don't get down there. I just kind of pass through there. I fished a couple of the PFAs years ago, but I can't even remember the names of them. Justin Ewell, have I ever fished Lake Jackson? I'm assuming you're thinking Lake Jackson in Florida. Yes, I did for one afternoon as I was driving by. I put my kayak in it and fished it, and I think I caught a couple of fish. Are there good hollow body toads? Michael laments. There's a bunch of them, man. I have 3 or 4 or 5 different brands that I use any given time. Good grief, you guys have asked a lot of questions. Here I am trying to read every one of them. I'm not good at it. Gene, you going to the Classic? Yes, I'll be at the Classic Expo. Am I planning to come back to Point of Shane? Yes, I will come back to Point of Shane. No plan to do it yet, but I know I'll get there. Any information on the best battery to use for a fish finder? Look up YOLOTech, YOLO, TEK, I believe, or TECK. I can't remember how they spell it, but they've got a new battery pack that I've been testing out that's coming out, and I think they're doing a fan funding thing or something to be able to do it. And it runs, it'll run your fish finder all day with no problem. Any fish finder. It runs 3 of my GoPros all day long. Hi, Fluke. You have the best YouTube channel. Thanks, Nick. Appreciate it. What are your thoughts on putting company logos on your truck boat if you are not sponsored by them? I mean, that's up to you, really. I don't plan on. I'm about to get my truck wrapped. I don't know when, but it'll be here in the next few months. I'm not one of those that really cares. I'm not going to put every sponsor's sticker on there. I don't want to get it all crazy. Mainly doing it to protect the paint job and promote my YouTube stuff. So I don't know. I guess it's up to that person. For an amateur fisherman, is there a big difference in the fish you can catch with a bait caster versus a spinning rod? The biggest difference between a bait caster and a spinning rod, if you're going to use them exclusively, is that I can get 3 times more casts in with a bait caster than I can with a spinning rod. So 3 times more casts during the day really adds up. The more casts you make, the more fish you catch. That's the difference for me anyway. The only time I use spinning rods now is when I'm doing like finesse stuff like drop shot and shaky heads. Do you have a rookie sportsman program where you are at? I've never heard of one. At least not here in Georgia. I know we have the, what do they call it? I can't even remember. The fishery, anyway, they give you those awards for catching a big fish. So, Felipe, I'm not able to leave my frog rod at the house. Am I crazy? Somehow I managed to catch a bass or 2 year-round on my local pond with the frog. I've always said if a bass is shallow and active, he's going to hit a topwater bait. I don't care what time of the year it is. So do you, man. It don't make no difference. What is the best rain suit for the average fisherman to buy? Frog Togs. I don't wear them. I don't use them because I buy Gore-Tex. But Frog Togs I have used before. And hold on a second. I'm sorry. Something just got... And I love them. I mean, it was really good. It just got a little hot in the summertime. Scott McNall says, Yellow Tech you're talking about is for yaks only. No, they make mostly boat stuff. Scott McCall. They make mostly boat mounts and things like that. And then, but that battery pack has got three 12-volt plugs in the side of it, and you can run three different things on it during the day. So it's just really, really cool. I kind of have been really excited. I've known about that one for a while, but it's just now coming out. Let's see. What have you used Boca bearings, and if so, how do they compare to the Concept Z polymer bearings? Dude, I'm telling you, I've had Boca bearings, I've had ceramic bearings, uh, I've had a lot of different types of bearings and reels, and that Z bearing is so smooth because there is no balls rolling around inside of a collar. There's just a big difference, and it's noticeable. Which usually between when you're comparing reels to reels, the differences aren't very noticeable, but with the Z it is. So good grief, this thing is scrolling fast. Sorry guys. When am I going to start the Bass U videos? We finalized everything today. I will film my first one this next week, and then hopefully it'll be out in the next couple of weeks. But I've got some other things I need to get done at the same time, so I'm a little behind because I had to take care of my mom this week. So, what's my biggest largemouth and where did I catch it? It's 10 pounds, 12 ounces. Caught it just east of Auburn, Alabama, in a little private lake. Chickamauga meetup, yes. Joe, actually the owner of the Chinese restaurant in Dayton, is on here, and I'm going to be. If I do a meetup, it'll be in Dayton. So I have done a few events around Chickamauga, like seminars and things like that. Can I throw a shaky head on a medium moderate action rod, quarter ounce shaky head? Yes, that's what I throw my quarter ounce shaky heads on. Favorite tackle store in Georgia? The Country Sportsman here in Rome is actually the best one I've been to. My old favorite one doesn't exist anymore, and that was old R&L Tackle next to Jackson Lake. Is the Z worth the money? Yes, it is, without a doubt. You guys need to, if you haven't seen my review over on my review channel of the Concept Z, you really need to go see it. I did a full 6-7 week review on it. What I like about the new Lowrance fish finders, just how user friendly they are. I'm huge in being able to switch and change things really fast on the fly. I do a lot of map reading. I do a lot of map study. I do a lot of map marking. I do a lot of adjusting the contrast and things like that on the fish finder. And so I want to be able to do that fast, and you can do that with the Lowrance. The Garmin I haven't been able to do that with. I've been trying so hard. I get frustrated a lot because it's real hard to mark the maps and navigate around the Garmins. So that's why I went back and looked at the Lowrances again. I know I was pretty mad at Lowrance this last year, with good reason, but it's been hard to find some stuff. And I'm looking at Ray Marine also, kind of trying to figure out whether I'm going to go with them or go with Lowrance or go with Humminbird. Who knows? When are the Z bearings going to be available? I don't know. I think they're still shooting for February. They're in their catalogs, but I don't think they're out on the market yet. Beginner deer hunting tips. Oh, same thing with fishing. Learn how to find what they're eating. And if you can find their food, you can usually find the deer. You successfully made my loose speed spools look bad with that Concept Z review, Gene. It was a tournament light. It wasn't. I don't know if they call that a speed spool or not. I don't have it on my desk. But yeah, dude, I tried really hard to make it as close as I could. But that thing is just so super smooth. It's one of those crazy things. It's only $200 for a reel that performs like a $500 one. If I could choose the Bonafide SS120 or the SS110, which would you choose? I'd always go with a bigger one because I like to carry a lot of crap on my kayaks. But I haven't been in one. I need to jump in Chad's next time I'm with him and just paddle it around so I can get some type of an opinion on it. Best advice for pond fishing in the winter: muddy, murky water. If it's muddy, murky, cold water, my best advice is put your stuff in your car and go home. I mean, I do not fish wintertime muddy water, period. It's the worst, hardest conditions you can possibly fish. You'd be lucky to feel a fish. in my opinion. But if you're fishing a tournament, you're forced to fish it. But that's just me, man. I stay away from cold, muddy water. See, when I come to the California, am I going to fish the Delta? I'm going to fish wherever. I would love to fish the Delta though. What rod and reel lineup for throwing spy baits for smallies? It's going to be a medium light action spinning rod, a long one, a 7'3" if you can find one. I know 13 makes one or two of them. And then, and if you're going to fish it the way the way it was designed to fish. I fish it chasing schooling fish, so I just need a regular medium light. I'm not going to chunk it around and fish it really slow. Hey Gene, how often do you get skunked? Quite often. Not as much as I used to, but it's usually 1 out of every 6 trips I'll get skunked. Maybe even less than that, but it's usually 1 out of 6. Any thoughts on the eye bobber for the budget bank fisherman? I would not go with the eye bobber, only because it looks like a video game. It doesn't teach you anything. The sonar phone, which I had one last week, and I think I put it in my barn. The sonar phone, when you're looking at the image, it looks just like a fish finder, so you can teach yourself a lot more with it. I just don't like the ones that look like video games because they get really, really confusing. Would I custom mount a trolling motor on a kayak? No, I would use a Torpedo. Their smallest one, or ultralight, is designed for kayaks. So I'm going to go backwards a little bit and try to read some that I missed. Will the Concept Z come out in any other colors? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I mean, orange is orange. I mean, if it's an awesome reel, I don't really care about the color. It's just not one of my favorite colors. If the Z is so amazing, is there any point in purchasing more expensive reels? I don't ever purchase a reel more than $200, so I can't tell you that. I did get a couple of Concept E's this year just to try them out, but I didn't buy them because I don't have to. But for me, if I was purchasing reels, me personally, I don't buy anything over $200 because after $200, all I've ever seen is just everything else is just additional things to make it super smooth, and the Z is super smooth. So why not? So Edwin, I totally agree. A Flukemaster Edition Z, it would be red and black. Any good combos that are good for everything under $200? If you got a $200 budget, something like a Fate Black or a Fate Chrome, and those new Origin reels, I've just finished editing a review for the Origin A. Are decent reels. They're really good for that price range. They're not an amazing reel because they're not priced to be amazing reel, but they're really, really good for that price range, especially if you're just going to beat the banks and a weekend angler. What line would I recommend for a blade bait? 12-pound test fluorocarbon is what I would use. Same as I'd use for a crankbait. Can I fish a rattling, non-flat-sided square bill in the winter, and how would I? The only time I would fish a round bait, I know Kevin Van Dam fishes them in the wintertime. I don't have any confidence in wide wobble round baits in the wintertime. I like tight wobble baits, so I'm going to use a flat side. So I'd use those post-spawn through the summer. And I'd start using shallow runners in the winter, or when the water starts to warm up in the early spring. What's the best night fishing lure? Dude, my favorite is a jig. I've caught more fish night fishing with a jig, but a lot of people like to use walking baits, topwater stuff, buzz baits. How much money is your frog rod? I think it's $180. It's a Muse Black. It's kind of their middle of the road, not their super high end rod, but it's one of their good rods. So I think it's $180. Would I spend more on a reel or a rod? On a reel, because rods these days, $60, $70, $80, $100, $120 rods are as good today as the $300, $400, $500 rods were 15 years ago. And so those work just fine. I love them, and they're really, really sensitive. You can get a good rod for a lot less money than you used to be able to, and then you can spend a little bit extra on a reel. Have I ever used a 6 cents lure? Yes, I've got a review on my review channel about when I caught 27-pound sack with one of the little flat-sided crankbaits. What video editing software do I use? Premiere Pro. What says my videos are hands down the best. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. What's... Oh, Scotty. Hey, man. What's going on? It says, what's up, dude? Good to see you at it again. Let's go fishing. Let's get to jig trailer and jig for winter bass. Man, that would be a blast. There's nothing better than dragging a jig and just feeling that little soft thump in the wintertime. I've got that fishing jigs in cold water video I did 100 years ago is an ideal video to watch this time of the year. Isn't the model of Bass U a little old-fashioned during this time of the year? During this great YouTube era? You know what? It might be, but we've got a bunch of elite guys who are really, really knowledgeable about fishing and really don't do the YouTube thing and are not that great at it. And it takes a long time to get that kind of stuff rolling. So to be able to get their knowledge, even if it is them videotaping a seminar and putting it on the site, the amount of information that those guys put out in those seminars is phenomenal. I've been a member of Bass U for 2.5 years, probably closer to 3, and it is, it's well worth the money. And I've got a coupon code that they sent me today, and when I start doing those videos, I'm gonna drop that coupon code down there so you guys can get $5 off your membership for Bass U. So that's gonna be pretty cool. But yeah, man, that's the way I feel about it. It is old-fashioned. It is an old way of doing it, but they got a lot of knowledge that they can drop on you. How do you become affiliated with Bass University? I've been friends with Mike Iaconelli for going on 13, 14 years. We've been back and forth trying to figure out how we can work together. And then Pete Glusek is a friend of mine. We've talked a few times, and then we finally came up with an idea. So I think you guys will enjoy it. Hopefully you will. It'll take a little bit to let it evolve into what it's going to be, but I got some good ideas on how to do those. It's going to be a lot of fun. What color jig am I using most during the winter? Brown. Brown or brown or brown. Yeah, you guys, if you believe in God, if you pray to God, pray for that co-angler down in Okeechobee. Pray that he's doing okay. Help them find him. Man, that just sucks. Could you do a remake on how to fish a fluke with more detail? I can try. It'll be probably post-spawn. So it'll be June that I do one. Do you recommend joining a local bass club? Why or why not? Yeah, I've never been a member of a bass club. I usually just kind of fish the pot tournaments and that kind of stuff. But my buddies who fish bass tournaments, once you get in and get a few friends and you start fishing with people, it's a lot of fun. It can be a bad experience, but just shop around your bass clubs. There's usually a bunch of them in areas where there's major lakes. So on Bass University, do you have to be on time for a video, or will I be able to watch your videos whenever? They'll be on my YouTube channel. They won't be over on the Bass Research. Well, they might be over on the Bass University channel. I think that's one of the things I'm going to let them do. But you'll find them here on my YouTube channel first. So, Rich says, I see some pros going aluminum boats. Why? I can tell you why I use an aluminum and not a fiberglass. Cost. And it's not the price that you purchase the boat for, because you can finance a boat for I don't know how long, years and years, to where you can get it to where you can afford it. But for me, it's cost per day. It takes less gas to tow it, less gas to run it, and it's less upkeep because it's aluminum and not fiberglass. It's got everything I need, and I went from a fiberglass at $100 to $120 or $80 to $120 a day for gas to an aluminum boat for 25 is about what I spend, $25 a day. So, and that's running hard. That's why, I mean, dude, it would kill me financially if I was using a fiberglass to do what I do. So, do you think you'll come back to Warren County, Tennessee? Probably. Probably. Mitty asks, why don't you drink alcohol? My grandfather was an alcoholic. My father used to tell me a bunch of stories about him, and Dad told me why he didn't drink, and realized pretty quick that it was a waste of time and money. I'd much rather be sober and having fun fishing and hunting than I would going out and getting drunk. Hey, Fluke, saw you on Lunkersville TV. Who knew you could sing? Yeah, that's one of those little hidden things. I was actually taking lots of years of voice. I used to sing in the Army. So, one of those things you just don't know. Ben DeBastiu going again the end of January in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Yeah, dude, those seminars are great. I went to the one in Nashville, Tennessee years ago. Had a lot of fun. Am I going to do any public appearances in Georgia? I don't have any scheduled right now, but I do them every once in a while. Those are starting to pick up. I do more and more every year, so who knows? Might get to do a meet and greet somewhere. Steven, sing us a tune. Nah, I'll be all right. You ever fish any of the Great Lakes? Yes, I've fished Erie. If you saw my last video of the kind of the recap of 2017, the big smallmouth I caught in the beginning of the video was caught on Lake Erie. So, what do you think about the Irma suspended lipless crankbait? I'm a suspended lipless crankbait. I think I got one in my mystery tackle box and I never fished it. I think that's a great idea because of the way I fish a crankbait. It just all depends on how deep it runs. But I think a suspending lipless would catch the snot out of fish in the pre-spawn. So I'm going to try that one out. Have I ever fished in New Jersey? I fished with Mike Iaconelli in southern New Jersey at his house, the lake behind his house. I did that in the spring when I went and was on part of Ike Live. Let's see, we're going to do this for about 12 more minutes. What's my go-to lure in the spring? Early spring pre-spawn is going to be a lipless crankbait and red. Is what I'm going to be throwing every day. Not all day, but every day. That's going to be one of the first things I try. And then as it gets further along in the spawn, I'll switch to other stuff. But definitely pre-spawn, I'm fishing a lipless. Will there ever be a Flukemaster rod model? I'm not going to push it. I don't see any reason to put my name on a rod. I like designing rods. I like designing lures. I love working on stuff like that, but I'm not the kind of person who puts my name on stuff. At least not now. Maybe they'll make it worth my while, but it's just one of those things. It doesn't strike my fancy any. Does your aluminum boat make more noise while fishing than fiberglass with waves slapping the bow? No, I've really never noticed it. I don't think it makes much of a difference. The only suggestion that I would make if you were fishing an aluminum boat is get the most powerful trolling motor that you can fit on your boat. I have an 80-pound on mine, and I asked Alumacraft and I don't even know if they're doing this, but one of the things I asked was if they would make a 70-pound standard on their 18-foot boats, just because that's the way it is, or that'll help you in the wind a whole lot better. Sorry, I was reading and trying to talk at the same time. What's my opinion on jet drive boats? They are amazing in shallow rivers. Other than that, I don't see any reason to have them. How about more videos on types of grass, terrain, finding contours without electronics? That's kind of stuff I can include in a video. I don't know about making a video just about that, but definitely something I need to do more of, especially if I get going with these electronic stuff. I'll definitely do a lot of that. I'm new to bass fishing. Is there a particular brand of lures you would recommend? I'd start with some soft plastics, just regular soft plastic worms. Get a spinnerbait, a couple of crankbaits, and a topwater frog just for fun, and go have some fun this spring. And don't be frustrated in the wintertime if you're trying to catch fish and you're not catching them. It's one of those things, just wait till spring, the bass will move shallow, be easier to catch. All right, I'm going to skip ahead, you guys. I'm sorry if I missed your question. Is side imaging fish finder beneficial in a kayak if most fishing is shallow water river bassing? No, it's not. I don't know. Well, no, I don't think in a river bassing it would be too beneficial. It would be really, really technical to read, and I don't see the purpose. When I'm river fishing in shallow rivers, I shut my electronics completely off. So, am I the only one who thinks the Ned rig is awesome? Or is it awesome bait for sight fishing during pre-spawn? Huh. No, I did that this spring, or last spring, didn't I? But I used a shaky head. I bet you a Ned rig would be dynamite. If my local lake doesn't have grass or structure, where would you look next? Okay, so what you're doing, John, this is a great question because I get to explain something I always wanted to explain. Structure is changes in the bottom composition, hard rocks, anything that's on the bottom and that's hard, that's never going to decay and never going to move. Cover is something the fish hides in. So what you're talking about is not having cover in your lake. If your lake is void of cover, then the bass are going to be associated to some type of structure, some type of change, be it a rock, a point, a drop off. They'll be at the top lip of the drop off if they're feeding. They'll be suspended off of it if they're not. They'll use those contours and those changes in the structure to move around and to hide in and things like that. So that's what you look for. Does aluminum boats hold up? Thinking about getting a Pro 175. Yeah, they do. They really do. I beat the snot out of mine. I run it hard in rough water. The worst thing about that, of course, it happens with a fiberglass boat too, is you get in that rough water and your equipment gets beat up. So you got to have really good tackle boxes or figure out how you're going to keep them from bouncing around. I bounced a whole lot of paint off of tungsten weights last year, so that's the downside. But you do the same thing in fiberglass as well. But they hold up really good, especially these days. Everybody compares aluminum boats to the old John boats from back in the 80s and 90s and things that they've heard about them. The way they weld and they fold and they bend aluminum now, it's phenomenal the kind of boats that they can build. So I do recommend new aluminum boats. The old ones, probably not. Let's see. Best $500 kayak hunter. I don't know, man. That's something you have to go over on Kayak Bass Fishing website or Chad Hoover's YouTube page, and he explains a lot of that a lot better than I do. He knows more about that kind of stuff than I do. So, hey, I know what I can do real quick. I got 8 minutes. These just came in the mail like today. So actually just a few minutes ago, the box was here when I got back. I'm gonna do a real quick unboxing just for the heck of it while I'm reading questions of this month's MTB Pro Box. So at least one of them. But if I come back to Warren County, you bet I'm gonna fish there. It's really good. So MTB, baby. All right, so they got this little contest going on where you measure your fish, take a picture, and put it on Instagram. I don't know all the details to it, but people have won stuff. So they got a Carolina rig kit. I don't particularly like brass Carolina rig weights. They're just not heavy enough for me, and they're really wide. Oh my goodness, look at this. They got a Lucky Craft pointer. What? A pointer 95. That is freaking awesome. Huh. It's my favorite size. Not my favorite. Well, I've never fished that color. But it's my favorite size pointer. Charlie's Worms, little creature baits, little small crawfish. There's a lipless crankbait. Kind of one of them goofy colors that probably work. So what is I live in Texas and mine is still in Kentucky. That's funny. Shout out to, do you prefer flipping or jigging? I flip a jig, so it's hard. Flip is a way to cast. Jigging is what you're fishing with. It's two different things. So, a little Catchco Pro Series Gator Hog 3.75 inch. I don't know if you guys are able to see these or not, but I'm trying. And then a pack of 5-inch Jean LaRue creature baits. All right, so I got a question. If anybody from Mystery Tackle Box is watching, why are we getting sample packs in the Pro Box? There's only 4 baits in that box. That's a sample pack. That's weird. That may be a fulfillment company mistake. Anyway, oh, and there's one more. A Roadrunner underspin. We talked about that a little earlier. Cool. So, ever been walleye fishing? Yes. I got walleye here in my lake right down the road. What color fluke do I use in the summertime? White ice or pearl is what I like to use almost all the time. Unless I'm fishing a small pond, then I'll use like a green pumpkin or a watermelon. What weight and brand line do I use for crankbaits? I use 10 or 12 pound test Seagar Abrazex. And I love the Abrazex for cranking because if I'm beating and banging up against stuff, dragging along rocks, I really don't have to worry too much about it getting messed up and breaking. So I still check it, but it doesn't scratch and get abrasion nearly as easy as other fluorocarbons. Let's see. Chris West, because of you, I bought an Omen rod, and it's awesome. You are good for 13's business. But I have to ask, what's my favorite non-13 reel? My favorite non-13 reel is the Generation 1 Abu Garcia Revo. I still have a dozen of them that I refuse to give away. They're great reels, so I love them. But they're the Gen 1s. They're several years old. Let's see. What did you get? Do you get 2 MTB boxes? Yes, I do. Yep. Ever get a shallow bite in the winter? Yes. My favorite time, if like right now, it's so freaking cold outside. It's like 18 degrees outside here in Georgia, which hardly ever happens. And then next week it's going to warm up to where there's 50s during the day for about 5 days. On that 3rd and 4th and 5th day, I'm going fishing. Because when it warms up like that, the bass will move back up out of that deeper water that they're down, that they're hiding in right now, and they move on up and they'll feed shallow. Thanks for my service. It says, thanks for your service, Gene. God bless you. Thanks, Rick Cole. Appreciate you. Appreciate it, man. Do you ever shore fish in the winter when you didn't have a boat? Yes, I did. I always fished the steepest banks that I could get to without falling in the water is what I typically did in the wintertime. And I did pretty good there. So Mark says, go Bulldogs. Yes, sir. When would you use the Ned rig over the Nico rig? I always go with a Ned rig. A Nico rig is really good with hard bottoms with not a lot of structure change. A Ned rig, if you've got a lot of rocks, a lot of things that are in the way, a Ned rig works really good. Best affordable bait casting rod. Gonna have to say the fake chrome is probably the best affordable one. I think it feels a lot more expensive than what it is, and they sell it for $80. I did not. Somebody asked, have you fished Rodman Dam? I have not gotten there yet. I fished the St. John's year before last while we were filming a TV show for kayak bass fishing, but I have not fished Rodman. Ever fished Lake Oconee? Yes, I grew up in Covington. Fished Oconee a lot. One of my favorite lakes here in Georgia. What is an affordable kayak for a beginner? Whichever one you can afford, man. Seriously, get in one. I don't care what it is. I don't care if you bought it at Walmart. I don't care if you bought it from the pawn shop down the street. Get in a kayak. Get yourself a decent paddle, but just get in a kayak and go fishing. and then worry about saving your money for your next kayak. Every kayak fisherman's favorite kayak is their second one, even mine. So that's kind of how I feel. Uh, Gene, we all love listening to you about fishing, but I'm wondering who you listen to. Any pros you like to take advice from? Huh. I thought you were gonna ask me what YouTube channels I watch. You know what? I watch a lot of Tackle Junkie 81. If you're gonna ask for a YouTube channel, it's about fishing. I watch a lot of his. But if I'm learning stuff, I go to Bass University. I go on their seminars and I listen to those pros, and I try to take notes and I try to remember. Uh, that's usually where I look. I don't watch a whole lot of fishing YouTube videos. My favorite YouTube video types to watch are I love to watch people go find arrowheads and that kind of stuff. I'm an arrowhead junkie anyway, and we don't have a whole. Well, we have a lot of them around my house here, but where I used to live, we didn't have a whole lot of them. So. Nick Cuevo says Bass University is a steal. Yeah, dude, $15 a month. But like I said, let me get this video out in a couple of weeks, and there will be a $5 off coupon code on that video. So, Master of Puppets or Paradise City. That's funny. Will you do a collab with Bama Bass? We've talked about it. It just hadn't happened yet. I need to call him again and go ahead and get that thing rolling for this next year. He's got some special lakes to fish. Oh, it's incredible. So, all right, guys. Well, I've been on long enough. I'm going to let you guys go. Richard, you got the last question. Says, Richard Lovett says, have you ever caught striped bass out of the ocean? Not out of the ocean. I've caught them. I've caught river run stripers that have come from the ocean, but I've never caught them out of the ocean. Definitely not. All right. Sorry if I didn't get everybody's question. Like I said, I don't read very fast. I try my hardest, but it's been a blast. I love doing these things. I'm going to do them every Friday night. If you guys aren't subscribed to my channel, be sure to subscribe. Turn your alerts on your phone or your notifications on your phone, and hit that little bell that's up next to the subscribe button. And man, like I always say, be sure to introduce somebody to fishing. Introduce them to my channel. Let me help you teach them how to fish. A lot more importantly, get them out on the water, go out and catch some fish, and have a great day. We'll see you.